might think the largest snake on Earth is the anaconda. Wrong. Scientific records show the largest anaconda reaches 10 meters, weighing over 200 kilograms, but in 13th century Austrian official archives, there's a record of a creature over 15 meters long, a terrifying beast that could swallow an adult man whole. This isn't a folktale, but an official bounty from an Austrian duke. 13th century Duke of Carinthia offered a reward for a giant creature by the river, a bounty for its capture and killing. Even using chains and oxen as bait, more puzzling, is decades later. Believing it to be the slain monster's skeleton, they built a statue. This statue still stands in Klagenfurt's city center, but modern scientific analysis proves the skull is from an Ice Age woolly rhinoceros. This raises a chilling question. If ancient people mistook a rhino skull for a giant snake's head, then what was the real creature they initially killed? How terrifying was it? 19th century, a Swedish folklorist collected 50 local farmers' detailed eyewitness reports of a giant brown-haired snake. Modern sonar technology, even captured in deep lakes, unexplainable giant echo signals this mysterious creature called Lindworm. Is it a prehistoric survivor unknown to science, or humanity's most enduring collective illusion? You might not know the name Lindworm itself hides a linguistic puzzle. According to the Oxford English Dictionary and the ancient Norse language system, Lindworm directly translates to coiling giant snake. But the key is, it's no ordinary snake description. Medieval European literature depicts Lindworm as a kind of terrestrial monster between snake and dragon. Unlike those soaring in the sky, fire-breathing traditional dragons, they mainly move on land or underground, lurking in deep, rarely visited forests and moss-covered caves. But here appears the first perplexing contradiction for researchers in records from different regions. Lindworm's physical descriptions vary greatly. Some versions describe it as completely limbless, with only a serpentine body. Others claim it has 2 strong front claws. There are even records mentioning dense hair on its back like a horse's mane, able to spit blinding milky venom. The 13th century incident in Austria's Klagenfurt area provides us with a first-hand official record. Floods were frequent at the time. Local residents blamed the disaster on a serpent living by the winding river. The Duke offered a reward to kill this beast. Some youths devised a clever trap. They used a bull tied with heavy chains as bait. When the Lindworm swallowed the bull, it was dragged like a fish on a hook and eventually killed. The following discovery was surprising even to experts. In 1335, quarrymen near Klagenfurt found a huge intact skull. Locals believed it was the killed Lindworm's head. They used it as a model to forge a statue erected in the city center as a monument to the dragon-slaying hero. This statue still exists today. It's considered the earliest fossil-based ancient creature reconstruction, but modern scientific analysis proved the skull actually came from a woolly rhinoceros. This discovery raised a deeper question. If ancients mistook a rhino skull for a dragon's head, then what was the real creature they initially saw and killed? What was it really? Many know Lindworm as European legend, but the deeper secret is it appears throughout history. Each time with unexplainable details. Marco Polo, in his Travels Volume 2, Chapter 40, recorded a puzzling first-hand account. 10 days west of Yarkand in Karajan province. Huge serpents can be seen here, 10 paces long, 10 palms thick. This isn't hearsay, but the explorer's direct observation. Marco Polo described these dragons having 2 front claws shaped like lion's paws, mouths big enough to swallow a man. He precisely recorded their length, 10 paces long and 10 palms wide, bodies like huge barrels. The creature Marco Polo described with 2 front claws differs significantly from the typical shapeless European Lindworm legend. What does this mean? A regional variant of the same species? Or did he in distant Asia truly encounter an unknown giant reptile? Time jumps to the age of reason, the mid-19th century. In Sweden's Småland region, a large-scale Lindworm sighting frenzy erupted. Folklorist Gunnar Olof Hilton Cavallius investigated rural areas and collected 50 detailed reports from farmers and hunters. They consistently described encountering giant, furry snakes. One farmer trembled as he recalled he saw a massive black python. Its belly was a lighter color, its back was long and densely scaled like horsehide. This giant snake silently slithered through the forest, yet its speed was astonishingly fast. Even more bizarre, eyewitnesses claimed it could bite its own tail, rolling at high speed like a wheel, chasing and pursuing fleeing humans. In an era that increasingly reveres science, why do so many locals believe in the existence of this ancient creature? What exactly are those repeatedly mentioned scales that are said to cover its body? In 1884, Sir Walter Cavallius even offered a huge reward, hoping to capture a live or dead specimen, but in the end, no one could claim the prize. This persistent scholar, unable to provide definitive proof, was seen by academia as a failure in cryptozoology, but his investigation records preserved for us the most detailed modern eyewitness files just 10 years after the Sweden incident. In 1894, the Norwegian fishing village of Alveken reported a perplexing message. Two gigantic lindworms appeared simultaneously at the village entrance, blocking ships from entering and leaving the port. The fishermen, in a state of terror, described these two creatures as having enormous bodies, their scales glinting with a cold, chilling light. Their massive physiques and menacing postures plunged the entire fishing village into panic. Two unknown creatures of such immense size appearing at the same time. How can this be explained biologically? Why would they actively block the gate? Even more puzzling, when a gold-seeking ship arrived and attempted to drive them away, the two behemoths mysteriously vanished. In today's world with such advanced technology, have we found more clues? Although the dedicated sonar investigation targeting the Lindworm has not been made public, similar deep-water sonar techniques applied in European waters have indeed recorded some perplexing anomalies. In 2020, in Scotland's Loch Ness, sonar detected an unidentified object up to 30 feet long, located 500 feet deep underwater. The characteristics of this giant echo, silent, abnormal movement, enormous size, uncannily match the habits of the legendary Lindworm. Are these sonar anomalies geological phenomena, underwater dark currents, or the activity of some unknown creature? Why is the relevant data always unable to be publicly explained? So what is the truth? Faced with this evidence full of mysteries, we have to confront two drastically different possibilities. The most scientific explanation believes the Lindworm is merely a collective illusion or a serious misidentification of known animals. The Klagenfurt cattle skull incident is the most direct evidence of this. Locals, unfamiliar with prehistoric creatures, mistook it for a dragon. In 19th century Sweden, those long brown-haired giant snakes in dim light and fear-induced conditions could easily be mistaken for giant eels, water snakes, or even tree roots from certain angles. Exaggerated descriptions included tail-wagging, rolling pursuit. These seemingly absurd descriptions might have originated from distortions of folk tales about sea serpents. Psychological studies show that under extreme fear, strong cultural influence, and poor visibility, collective illusions can easily occur. Hjalmar Cavallius, though collecting 50 eyewitness reports couldn't provide any physical evidence. But this explanation has major flaws. Spanning centuries, sightings across Europe show striking consistency. Unknown giant snakes spitting venom, massive size, and other key features repeatedly appear in reports. More puzzling is why experienced explorers like Marco Polo would so elaborately misidentify known creatures. A more challenging possibility is lindworms might indeed be an undiscovered species of giant, elusive reptile. Earth still has vast unexplored depths, cave systems, and primeval forests, perfect havens for ancient creatures. If lindworms truly exist, their unique movement, like the fabled tail-rolling and venom-spitting defense, may be key to their long-term concealment. Modern sonar has detected anomalies hinting at unidentified large creatures. 50 detailed sightings in Swedish Småland are hard to dismiss as mass delusion. More likely point to a once existent but now extremely rare species. Northern Europe's dense forests, cliffs, mountains, and rich water systems could support large predators theoretically, if they're sufficiently elusive, yet this possibility faces a fatal challenge: lack of conclusive physical evidence. For centuries, apart from one aurochs skull, we've found no living specimens, bodies, bones, scales, or even basic biological evidence like feces. But consider this thought-provoking view from a cryptozoologist. Lindworm's tail-rolling pursuit description echoes North American snake legends. This isn't an impossible movement, but suggests an unknown, unique, and efficient hunting method. If true, it would revolutionize our understanding of traditional reptile locomotion. From a purely biological perspective, Lindworm's existence, full of inexplicable controversies. The largest known living snake species usually measures a few meters, but Lindworm is described as reaching tens of meters. Just imagine such a massive, unknown serpentine creature, how it hunts efficiently on land. The enormous energy its huge body needs and the extreme stealth it must maintain is a massive contradiction in itself. If it truly possesses precognition, then compared to modern pythons, the genetic difference would be vast, meaning it could represent a new or even ancient reptilian branch, a true living fossil. Northern and Central European ecosystems, especially long, harsh winters, could they support such a massive, cold-blooded creature? How do giant prey stay warm in winter? Unless they have very low metabolism, can sleep for long periods, or have unknown, huge, warm underground cave systems. As hibernation spots, mainstream zoologists firmly believe all lindworm sightings can be attributed to misidentification of known large animals under specific lighting or psychological effects. People mistake deer herds, wild boars, even tree roots, geological formations for giant creatures. Lindworm is just rooted in European cultural symbolism, not a real creature, but cryptozoologists argue that we can't easily rule out the possibility of extremely rare and mysterious species existing. Those 50 detailed sighting reports of hairy giant snakes in the Swedish Småland region. These hairy descriptions are known animals, hard to explain key details. As we stand at the tech peak of the 21st century, looking back at this centuries-old mystery, we can't help but ask, what does Lindworm really represent when humans face the unknown world, a primal fear deep in our hearts? From the 13th century, Austrian dukes.